So, welcome everybody to this wonderful closing event for Tech for Refugees. My name is Meriç Bıçakçıoğlu, and I work as an expert in this project. And I would like to welcome you in this wonderful closing event, which was organized with the collaboration of the EBRD, of course, with the support of the mentors and the trainers, and especially the participation and enthusiasm of the entrepreneurs in this project. Before all, let me please give you a quick overview how we structure today's program. First, we will have brief introductory words from the project members, which will be followed by a video presentation prepared for this project. And finally, we will round up the event with a panel discussion. Well, before all, like in many other events in this year, I would like to underscore the fact that the pandemic had a great repercussion on the wider business community and, of course, on the projects on the entrepreneurs in this project as well. But please let me quote Winston Churchill, who said that we should never let a good crisis go to waste. And I think this is a valid point when we think what happened to us. So what happened? First of all, we had to reshape our perceptions. And we also had to rethink about our business models and also question our place on the planet, as you might all know. And ultimately, I think that it was a good point because the pandemic drew communities closer to each other to a certain extent. There was a huge amount of support and collaboration between human beings, as we haven't seen for a long time. And regarding the project, I think it's fair to underscore that it was a critical one which focused on the economic inclusion of Syrian-led entrepreneurs and SMEs. Well, after the selection process, it was decided that 9 applicants were chosen to take part. And throughout the project, let me brief you what happened. We had 17 training seminar sessions, more than 20 mentoring sessions, and 18 matchmaking organizations. And as you will see, the title of the panel discussion is Inclusive Growth in the Technology Center, Potential for Syrian Entrepreneurs. So I think the central concept of this project was inclusiveness from our perspective. But today, inclusiveness is like a buzzword which should not lose its essence, as we have seen in sustainability. And inclusiveness, in this sense, means that some social groups are somehow included in the social activities of the society. But when we look at the whole picture, we see that inclusion is for some taken for granted or a routine activity, while for others it's a privilege. What we try to do is to make sure that any social activity is not a privilege, but a routine for the whole society. Now think of access to education or finance, for example, or let's think of women or children. Important is, as I said, that we should not lose the essence of the word inclusiveness as such. What this project also reminded us was that it was a fair point to help us focus on certain outcomes. So what happened? First of all, it is very exciting to see that, let me see you of the outcomes of the project, that 2 of the selected participants were secured investment opportunities. 8 secured new clients, while 6 of them increased their turnover, although generally across the board all were affected by the COVID pandemic. And 7 introduced new products and services. So despite all, we saw that all 9 participants survived the pandemic. This is a satisfying and welcoming impact of the project, which targets a specific beneficiary group. And I believe that in the long run, this will help us to extend the effect of this project to the larger community and the immediate society. What do we mean by change in the society? In the narrow sense of this project, it is a valuable outcome to see that the impact will not only have economic, but also social outcomes, like the cohesion between communities as such. As an expert on regional entrepreneurship and SMEs, and I include both in the same group, I would say I can say that in the region, generally, all have a can-do attitude and their motivation to swim against the current. And by and large, what happened in Turkey is interesting. Let me give you a small statistics from the Turkish Union of Chambers. In Turkey, 9.8% of companies are SMEs, while 65.5% of the revenue generated is by SMEs. And again, employment, 74% provided by SMEs. And when we look at the whole value chains in the country, we see that all these are littered with small and mid-sized companies, which create an ecosystem of communication, trust, and cooperation. During last year in 2020, as will be mostly highlighted by our friends here as well, the investment scene turned to entrepreneurs and SMEs. And also consumers try to focus on small companies rather than big ones, and the sales channels as well. And we also saw an influx of several projects like this one, which embraced larger numbers of SMEs and entrepreneurs. Even in stable times, we didn't see that much increase in interest in SMEs and entrepreneurs. But now I think it's time to move on to our guests. And I think we have about 5 minutes for each of our friends. And I would like to welcome to the floor our first speaker on behalf of EBRD, Associate Director and Regional Head of SME Finance and Development, Paulo Monaco. He will make it the first opening speech.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Meric, and I'm very happy to be here. I was happy to be in another event that we had for mentoring, also in the ICT Syrian ecosystem. It was more than a year ago, but then we were in a room. I think the room was quite small, so we couldn't fit many people. Well, now we can fit as many people as we would like. I think when it comes to sectors, ICT is probably the one that has been least affected by the current situation. It's actually made me realize now I'm in the office that it's not so productive, really. But in any case, look, I'll try to keep it to 5 minutes. The purpose here is I just want to give you the overall framework under which and the context for EBRD under which this project fits. Obviously, we all know that Turkey is the home of the largest community of refugees in the world. We know that the majority of the refugees are Syrian. We talk a big number, 3.7 million. And we've seen that over the years, the community has grown, the businesses have been established, businesses are growing, businesses are integrating. There are over 20,000 businesses now, and you know, much respect for being able to come to a new country with no connection and a lot of the time with very little capital, but your own knowledge and being able to strive in a difficult environment, both macroeconomics and also legislatively speaking. When it comes to EBRD is principally a bank that focuses on the private sector. We do so in many different ways, but the main ones being we give loans to banks for banks to on lend for specific programs, whether it is to agribusinesses or particular SMEs or businesses that are located in certain part of the countries. That's one line of businesses. We also do direct investments. We finance projects in many different sectors, from energy and infrastructure to the corporate sector, telecom sector, many different sectors. And then there is an element of advisory. So we help, in particular, SMEs through advisory services to improve their businesses. It's rather broad, and it's something that we've been doing for over 20 years. When it comes to the EBRD response to the Syrian crisis, it has been quite a sort of a structured response. Obviously, Turkey has been one of the main country, if not the main country, but as we all know, at least in the countries that EBRD covers, also Jordan and Lebanon have been affected. And in total, I think the EBRD financing for all projects that are related to refugee responses, just short of $1.9 billion, of which approximately 500 million is loans, and the other 400 has been grants. What have we done with all that money? We've done three things. Well, one important one has been investments in infrastructures, and namely to be able to accommodate for the simple increase in the number of the people living in particular areas. That involves overall transportation, that involves sanitation, many other sort of infrastructure aspects. Another one has been economic inclusion through vocational training in order to try to integrate as much as possible, as fast as possible, the Syrian community into the host community. And then with a particular focus on SME. And here, maybe I'll focus a little more, because we belong to the team that looks after the SME sector. We've done essentially three things. We worked with advisory in Turkey, and we have advised about 170 businesses, soon to be 200, in areas that have been very affected by the influx of refugees. We run a lot of trainings in order to improve the advisory capabilities of certain consultants, whether individuals or small companies in the IT sector and also in other sectors. And we worked in capacity building, which is a complicated word to really enunciate something quite simple, which is to work to improve the processes and structure of certain key organizations. In the last 3 minutes, I'll cover these aspects or maybe 2 minutes. I think I'm overrunning, but I'll cover these last 3 aspects in a little bit more detail. So going back to the capacity building, we have worked together with our partners, the Confederation of Danish Industry, which is essentially the association of the Danish chambers of commerce, in order to improve the offering of the Gaziantep and the Mersin Chamber of Commerce. Improve it and adapt it, and in particular to allow them to reach out to a larger number of SMEs, also including the Syrian SMEs, to be able for them to come up with new products that specifically targeted the Syrian SMEs and the Syrian companies, and to extend their business development capabilities. The second project that we've done is a project that I referred to at the beginning of my speech, together with our partner Injev, and it was a project focused on mentoring. Just north of 50 ICT-focused Syrian SMEs had been identified, and they were matched with very valid and very good mentors in order to improve and their business vision, their operations, their strategies. And throughout both of these 2 projects, what we've seen has been a consistent observation that obviously the ICT sector had a great potential for Syrian businesses. Most of it comes from the fact that the Syrian entrepreneurs had a lot of knowledge, and while they may not have been able to bring over too much capital, they will certainly be able to bring over their human capital and started to trade in a new country. And there was a strong willingness in order to integrate in the Turkish market by working with Turkish corporates, because Turkey is a big market for the ICT business. And third, there were difficulties in trying to understand how to fit into the legal system, how to run the selling, the marketing, and of the operation. So not just the product development. And the last program is this program, the reason why we're here, the Tech for Refugees. I think Meriç had already presented some of the results and more to come maybe after me. But in essence, the program has two main components. One is accelerator component, and another one is a matchmaking component. Matchmaking to corporates in this case. And it's a program that just finished. It started in January and it finished in February last month. So very recent. It's a fully COVID project, which was born, grew, and ended through COVID in a very rather seamless way. Because of the reason I highlighted before, that it makes, I guess, very little difference for ICT. And my last word is really my words of thanking towards our corporate partners that made this project possible, both through the provision of mentorship, but also non-financial contributions. And they are, and I'm hoping that I'm not forgetting anyone, Oracle, Microsoft, Amazon Web Services, Google, Insider, and Dimaggi. So thank you very much, everyone. And I think I pass over back to Meriç for more on the program. Thank you again for having me and inviting me.
Oh, thank you very much. Kind words and good support. It was a fantastic time for us as well, and especially for the entrepreneurs. I would like to leave the floor to Doğan Çelik, who is also an expert and consultant and also led the team of this project. Doğan?
Yeah, thank you so much, Meriç and Paulo, for your insights and the comments on the entrepreneurship ecosystem in Turkey and the role that Tech for Refugees has played in elevating serial-led ICT SMEs for success despite the pressure put on the market during the rapid spread of COVID-19. As the project consultant, I'm so proud to have taken part in the implementation of EBRD's flagship project that uses mostly a private sector-driven approach to better connect SMEs to Turkish corporates, especially for long-lasting and mutually beneficial business partnerships. In fact, Tech for Refugees was born out of necessity. Though they have bright ideas and skills, serial-led SMEs need practical support. I'm right now referring to access to the market, because which is nowadays is needed to make their goals tangible and to give them the tools they need for success in their entrepreneurial journeys. Just briefly, I want to share my takeaways here with all of you. First of all, we really worked hard to position serial-led SMEs to create relationships with big giant corporates like Dimaggi and other tech leaders through matchmaking for strong business partnerships. I would say their eagerness to support SMEs working within the sector demonstrates that ICT is one of the most effective, as rightly mentioned by Paulo, effective and promising sectors to achieve sustainable development goals. And I am sure, by the way, Anthony will explain better than me the importance of ICT for development. And secondly, during the implementation of Tech for Refugees, we have seen that these collaborations have led to not only economic development, by the way, but also economic and social cohesion for project participants now, as we see. Entrepreneurs are having an easier time and navigating the entrepreneurship ecosystem here in Turkey, and they have become mentors, advisors to those who are now following in their footsteps. I don't want to take your time too much, but to wrap up and conclude my thoughts, I want to say projects like Tech for Refugees are more important now than ever due to the COVID-19 to ensure that SMEs stand strong, because, as you rightly mentioned by again Meriç, SMEs make up 99% of the Turkish economy and truly are the backbone. And when big players like Dimaggi step up to include Syrian-led SMEs in their value chains, we really see great things happen. As the tech industry provides the opportunity to do business beyond borders, we look forward to seeing the many new relationships that will emerge now that we have the set stage. Now also that we have proven this approach, we see a need for matchmaking in other sectors like, I would say, FMCG, as well as other traditional sectors that are kind of open to digitalization. Therefore, let's use this momentum to go beyond our current success. Again and again, on behalf of the Tech for Refugees team, I thank you for joining us today, and I want to give a special thanks to Suat, Paolo, and Serpil, who have shown their own constant support throughout the Tech for Refugees project. We really look forward to your engagement in the following sessions. Thank you so much again.
Thank you very much, Doğan, for your nice words. And I think it's time for our small, short video. Please enjoy it.
Joined this program, the special thing that was in it is that it was customized to the entrepreneurs in Turkey, and that was super helpful for us because knowing the market that you are working in is number one in business, because I would work in Turkey actually, and I need to know more about the market in Turkey, how to deal with things. So, and it was like a roadmap. Everything is there for you to start. So, starting from financial management, product management, service management, everything that you can imagine, marketing. So, a lot of topics, but they were very intense and brief. So, they just told us exactly what we really need.
İlk olarak yeni startup şirketleri ile konuştuk, fikirleri ve tecrübeleri aldık. Yeni yatırım almak için gereken iletişim yollarını öğrendik. Yani hatta bu bilgileri kullandık ve yeni bir yatırım aldık. Bizim için çok önemli olmuş. Çünkü zaten Tech for Refugees çok bir fırsat bizim için çok önemli ve çok faydalı aldık.
I am thankful because I started my business in Turkey. When I joined the program, we were only two females, and this was the first interaction with the people in the business land. So I was afraid. Oh my God, we are two females, and everyone in the sector are males. What should I do then? But then when I went forward, I discovered that in Turkey it is a very women supportive community. So whenever I went, I started to notice that everyone is supporting women. So instead of the question, can you really do it? I found everyone is saying, yes, you can do it, go ahead. So that was amazing, and that was 100% supportive.
We participated in Tech for Refugees, offered by I4D and sponsored by EBRD. In the process of participation, we increased our skills and capacity in participating in this program. Our biggest takeaway from the project is our relationship with Amazon. We were using Amazon even before that program, but while participating in it, we got too many meetings with them that helped us improve our using of their tools, and we got introduced to new tools we didn't know before. As a games company led by Syrians in Turkey, we need those motivations and inspirations to continue this journey in Turkey and to give more to Turkey.
Nice video, and trust me, I've seen many programs, and the outcome of this program is fascinating. Now it's time for a small panel discussion. We have 3 distinguished guests, and the title is Inclusive Growth in Technology Center with the Potential of Syrian Entrepreneurs. Our first guest is Emir Uzunoğlu. He's the Entrepreneurs Director of Covet Forum Turkey. Welcome, Emir.
Welcome.
I hope you're okay and feel good.
Yeah, right. Thanks.
Good. We have a string of questions. My first question to you would be, what are the growth trends of the ICT sector during the COVID-19 conditions?
Well, nice question. First of all, mobile games are one of the growth trends during the pandemic. Why? Because movie theaters were closed, so people want to entertain, but they don't have anywhere to go. Everybody has his own mobile phones, so they use their mobile phones for entertaining, which are mobile games. As Covet Forum Turkey, we invested in a hyper casual game studio as well last month, and also Turkey has a great track record of mobile games. We are probably know that Peak Games, Gram Games, Rolik Games, they were like fantastic exits. So number 1 is mobile games. Number 2 is fintech, financial technologies. Why? Because of the pandemic, we don't want to touch the money, the cash. So we started to use digital payments. We make wire transfers. Everybody started to use it as well. So to digitize these electronic payments really change the customer habits. So the growth rate of fintechs has really increased. So fintech is the second growth area. And the third one is biotech. It's no surprise. We are really proud of these 2 entrepreneurs from Turkey. They were born but raised in Germany, BioNTech. The biotech firms were the solution providers at this pandemic. It's no surprise for everyone, and biotech was the third trending topic. At last but not least, e-learning. Why? The schools were closed. We used to start Zoom for these events, and e-learning softwares really increased the demand for e-learning software. So the last trend, or the last growth trend, was the e-learning. So it's such a nice question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. What were your key considerations when you invested or when you're investing in an ICT company, especially during COVID?
Yeah. So the first rule is like the golden rule for every investor. We always seek for new businesses to double our money. This is this number 1 rule. It's easy peasy. But the second one is traction metrics. Traction stands for product market fit. So there are some metrics like conversion rate for e-commerce, month-over-month growth rate for marketplaces, or gross merchandise value for marketplaces as well. So we seek for growth metrics, which we call the traction metrics. Traction metrics is the second criteria for us. The third one is competitive advantage. So we always seek for defensibility of startups. When we call this defensibility, for instance, patent, intellectual property is one of the defensibility, or the brand value is another defensibility. Fourth one is the strong team. I mean, we always seek for strong team. So let me clarify this point. I mean, our key considerations do not change dramatically for the pandemic as well. The rules are the same, but the growth trend, the domains are changing. So let me clarify my point. We, in this pandemic, we seek for mobile games, fintech, biotech with high traction metrics, with a competitive advantage and a strong team. So I can converge your two questions with the same answer. I can gather two of them in a one answer as well.
Exactly. I think it's a fair point when you think of the general perspective of investment on the investment scene, that the metrics did not change, but maybe the priority of the metrics changed.
Yeah, it's true.
I think you responded to the third question, which said, what are your priorities for investors while projecting the future in these investment trends? So we're talking about prospects rather than the current situation.
Yeah, I mean, so the sales potential of the product is crucial. I mean, the investors take a look at the quality of the products. They seek for the growth potential of the market. I mean, is crucial as well. And also, I mean, as I already mentioned, they seek for the financial rewards. They seek for expected rate of return. A solid return is such a crucial point. And I mean, they always seek for the enthusiasm, trustworthiness, expertise, and the track record of the entrepreneur. These are the major points. So, I mean, I just disclose the secret source of the investors' criteria. So please keep this in mind and don't tell anyone. Okay, this is the secret source of investors. Okay, just don't disclose it.
Thank you very much. Fair point. Now everybody will invest in the companies.
Yeah, I mean, this is the secret sauce. It's the formula of Coca-Cola. Just don't disclose it, okay? This secret sauce is gonna make you millionaire.
Yes, inshallah.
Inshallah.
And if the audience has any questions, please use the chat feature to ask questions to our panelists. Emir, thank you very much for your contribution.
I'm glad.
Please don't leave. We might have some questions for you as well.
Okay.
Our second, Anthony Connor. Anthony, welcome. He's the Senior Director of Program Design of Dimaggi. Anthony, before I ask the questions, could you tell us about Dimaggi, what you're doing, which sector?
Yeah, great. So we work in a sector called Internet Communications Technology for Development. Dimaggi was one of the original founders of the ICT4D domain. And so our company has been around for about 20 years, providing technology solutions mainly for the development community and also mainly in the healthcare space as well. So it's very pertinent what's happened last year. It's been a very interesting time for our company. We have a lot of footprint around the world, but it was actually a great introduction to Ranim and one of the groups that we were able to touch base with, because we actually didn't have that much insights into what was happening in Syria and Turkey in general. And Ranim has really stepped up during this time and supported our organization as much as we've been able to support her as well.
Great, thank you very much. So my first question would be, how do you perceive the changes that affected your sector during COVID-19 conditions?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. And so obviously working in the healthcare IT space, it was very sad what's been happening. It's been traumatic for a lot of people. However, it's been a huge accelerant for digital technology in general, and just accelerating humanity as a whole through this digital acceleration, just at a very rapid clip in probably ways that we wouldn't know for another 2 years. It has pushed things, as everybody was saying before, things like remote learning, things like remote training that were just available before. If we think about if this had hit back in 2010, we'd be completely unprepared for it, right? When we look at what happened, our company was involved in the 2015 Ebola response, which was a very similar scary situation in very many ways. When we were involved in that, it was very difficult to understand if the technology was useful or not in that situation. It was going to be very disruptive to, in the middle of a pandemic, interject ourselves, say this is the right thing to do. We need to introduce contact tracing, drop all the paper that you're doing, retrain everybody, stop working for 2 days and don't do anything with the patients. Just focus on this because the ROI will be much better. We hope, fingers crossed. And that was in 2015, and it's still very murky today in terms of if that was a useful thing for us to do or not. Now in 2020, it's, I think, understood. Like you won't be able to get out of this crisis without the role of technology. It's also really pushed people, organizations and companies and industries that were a lot more staid and kind of older organizations to be a lot more tech savvy and be more friendly to the kind of digital interventions that had existed before. Even if it's a kind of a funny anecdote, but you look at Twitter and the investments that they made into these massive office spaces, you have to ask yourself, why did a company like Twitter, who is a communications company at its heart, have to have these offices to begin with? And at the very beginning of the pandemic, they shut down all their offices and they said, yeah, nobody needs to come back to the office even after the pandemic, So a lot of the organizations, even the tech savvy organizations, were kind of doing things very differently in the past that can change now. And we hope that we continue to see that happen. We hope that, the way that we look at 2015 and the Ebola crisis, the way that people 5 years from today will look back and say, thank God the technology was there, but oh my, they were working on very antiquated systems, and we can only hope that it continues to accelerate at this pace that it's been accelerating so far.
Exactly. Thank you. And I agree. I mean, in times like these, companies are more focused and acute in searching for partnerships. So I think this brings us to the second question. How did you get involved with Ranim Safi, the founder of IMSAF, who is also a company of this project?
Yeah, so it was great. Doyan and Cemre reached out to me, I think potentially because I had lived in Turkey for some time. So I don't know the search parameters that surfaced our company and myself, but I lived for a little while in Izmir back in my younger days doing a technology company. I was very excited to be working in IT in Turkey back in the day. They reached out to me. Originally, IMSAF had been working on our platform, ComCare, which is really looking at how do you get things like community health workers into difficult places where there's not a lot of phone infrastructure, where there's not a lot of signal, and still be able to provide basic health services in these communities. And so Ranim had been working on our platform with another company earlier. So when she reached out to us and when Doyan connected all of us together, it was actually a very easy conversation to say, I'll provide whatever support I can, but already the technology, the reasons that you should be using it. You're just like a great partner to work with already. So then it becomes almost like, what can we do for you and what can we do to make this a little bit more mutually beneficial? Providing trainings on the technology wasn't going to cut it, because the reality is that she was as good as our staff was on using our technology, our own internal staff. We have a small partnership program. It's really only 3 different organizations that we certify different partners to say that they basically can provide technology services as good as Dimaggi ever could. They can deploy ComCare into remote locations, and they can do the trainings. They can do everything from A to B to get an entire solution running for an entire Ministry of Health in a very difficult situation, right? So we have one in Haiti that we've been working with for quite a while. We've had one in the South Pacific that we were working with for quite a while. And we had overlooked it, and we didn't really know any partners in the region at the time. And so when Ranim reached out to us, it just really made sense to get her onto that partnership program, which means that we then do a little bit of marketing. We do a little bit of validation of her credentials, in the sense that anytime that anything comes in via Syria or Turkey or the greater Middle East, we know that we personally as a company probably can't take that work on. But we know that we have Ranim and IMSAF that we can also just bring this to her and say, don't bother coming to us. Ranim is a much better person to implement this because she understands the sensitivities of the issues at hand.
Thank you very much. Very extensive response. And I think you also slightly give us clues of the last question. The last question would be, what would be your rounded up suggestions to entrepreneurs and companies who are run by entrepreneurs and Syrians in a similar effort?
Yeah, thanks. Again, like the experience with Ranim is, I think, maybe indicative of, it was very easy for us to find ways that were mutually beneficial. I think people and organizations started trying out during the early days of the COVID pandemic to kind of do things the old pre-COVID way. And then we have an opportunity now to see how we can kind of maximize the world in ways we didn't think was possible before. One very silly kind of anecdote is that even with Zoom in breakout rooms, I think we're all kind of a little bit done with the Zoom meetings and we all want to have face-to-face meetings. But even having breakout rooms within our Zoom calls, we can have 100 people in a meeting and we can have these breakout rooms percolate a bunch of ideas and come back together. And that wasn't feasible. You couldn't have a 100-person meeting back in the day. So little things like that are really opportunities for people to do things completely different. We see, in my view, I think that the social distancing and a lot of the disruptions that are brought on by COVID are here to last. And we shouldn't be too excited about the vaccine because COVID is going to be here for a while. And a lot of the things that we've had to deal with over the last couple of years are going to be probably continuing for the next, I would think, another year and a half. And, you know, the over optimism of everything will change immediately. I think that refugees in a sad way is a very similar parallel to the crisis in Syria, is that we all hoped that it would end and people could go back on with their lives. I think that, especially within the Syrian context, the refugees that have come out of that are more resilient to the type of coping than other entrepreneurs potentially are. And these are the people that will be able to kind of move fast and move reasonably in a way that is really important to the world. It does mean the pandemic, if it's here to stay, there's going to be a lot of opportunities that will come up and it will continue to come up. And the strength of the entrepreneur is ultimately how fast that they can move. We've seen, you know, the pandemic has surfaced the absolute need for equity in our healthcare system and a real emphasis on social determinants of health. And these need to be addressed, and these need to be addressed by people that understand the context. If you're a Syrian refugee in Turkey, or if you're a Turk looking to work in Syria, the same way, people understand the context better than a person from Washington, D.C. can. And people being able to really seize those, the entrepreneurs in these regions, they're able to move so much quicker than even a company like Dimaggi can. And so I would just consider, you know, the most important things going forward are just take advantage of, it's a sad situation, but the opportunities are out there to do small little things that will really unlock a lot of value in the world. So hopefully, again, 5 years from now, we've all been through it, but the digital accelerates the world to be in a very different place through a lot of small entrepreneurs out there that can really see the big picture.
Thank you very much. Very nice insight. And I agree, the pandemic is not easy to go, and that an important factor was the resilience of small companies, especially, and that they are focused on their strength rather than their weaknesses and use technology as an enabler rather than a hindrance, as we have seen in the education scene. Thank you very much for your kind words, Anthony. And let's move on to Marawan Hassan, Chief Marketing Officer of Wolves Interactive. Please, Marawan, before I ask the questions, tell us a little about your experience in this project and what happened. Marawan, we cannot hear you.
Sorry, I guess I was on mute. So I was I was saying thank you, Meric, and thank you everyone for having me with you today. It's a great honor and it's a pleasure. My name is Marawan Hassan. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer of Wolves Interactive, which is a mobile gaming company that has been working in this field in Turkey for around 4 years. My experience with the project is very positive. Actually, I got to know about the project from a previous project or a previous program that we attended before. And actually, I think the Tech for Refugees program was a continuation of the learning journey that we started in other projects. And I think it shouldn't stop there. I mean, there are lots of things that we can do together again. And I'm looking forward to have or to attend more programs with Tech for Refugees and with the team.
Great, thank you very much. So my first question would be, what would be your 3 key takeaways of the Tech for Refugees project as Wolves Interactive?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. As I mentioned, there are lots of takeaways and lots of things that we benefited from such a program. But if you ask about the 3 main things, I would say that from my perspective, the first key takeaway is the great learning and development. As I mentioned, it's a journey. We learned a lot about different topics. We heard from different experts and from different people who had best practices or studies in different fields. So that was a great learning and development opportunity for all the team from my company. Many people attended. I mean, I attended the program, and I had some attending other people attending from the team as well. So it was a joint learning journey, and we made sure not to stop. I mean, for this kind of learning, not to stop at our end. We made sure that we can cascade and transfer the knowledge to the rest of the team and colleagues here. So that's the number one takeaway. The second takeaway is networking and good connections. So the program was a very good chance that gave us the opportunity to meet with innovative startup founders and brilliant minds who worked on different ideas and who managed to transform their ideas from a mere idea into a proof of concept and a product and so on and so forth. So it was a very good chance to meet those people. On the other side, we also met with experts, and we made excellent connection with big companies like Amazon, Oracle, and Microsoft. And we gained a lot from their experience and from their consultancies. And on a different level, we got the chance to make some introduction to other big companies. So this resulted in creating business opportunity for our company. And one of the good examples that I would like to mention is the introduction to Turkcell, one of the biggest telecom companies in Turkey. So we got the chance to meet with the top management, and we almost closed the deal with them. So that was amazing. I mean, we wouldn't have reached that far if we did not go through the program and got to meet the good connection from Oracle and the big companies. On another level, we also we are featured in the annual article that is being produced by Amazon. So they write an annual article. We are featured in that, and it should be launched. It should be published this month. We have been selected as one of the 6 companies that they feature every year. So that's a very good marketing tool that would help us again reach more companies and be well known to other people all over the world. It's not local, it's an international article. And finally, the fund opportunities is the final takeaway. We have been focused on investment opportunities, but we were not focusing, or we did not have much information about the available fund opportunities that the government avails to startup companies. So throughout the program, we were introduced to programs like COSCEP and like the program delivered by the Ministry of Trade. We knew all the details about the programs, the benefits, the incentives, how to apply, and the best practices also in this direction. So it was amazing that we knew that. We applied for one of the programs, and hopefully we got enrolled in one of them.
Wonderful. So it all trickled down, imbued as information, which led to the learning and also to a sense of experience, not only technical, but also about deal making, about the business world in Turkey, especially how to make a deal, how to break a deal sometimes. And this is all, of course, one of the experience you had. The last 2 questions are actually interconnected. So what were the challenges before you joined the program, and how did this project support you in overcoming these? I think you hinted to some of these, but please, could you reiterate?
Yeah, sure. One of the biggest challenges for us is related to taxation, the taxation system. As you already know, we came from Syria. We're from a different country, and we come from different background, and we got used to the taxation system in our countries. But being in Turkey is a challenge because we are not aware of the taxation system here. So that was one of the biggest challenges that we faced. We were not fully aware of the tax laws, which resulted in us paying more than we should be paying. the program offered us good sessions about financial and tax laws in Turkey and the related regulation, and that was presented by Mr. Yusuf Shaheen. We got to understand the regulations better, and later on, Mr. Yusuf offered us extra consultancy support. He's currently our consultant in this area, and he helped us eliminating unnecessary tax burdens related to stoppage and KDV. So that was one of the challenges, and we came over it with the help of Mr. Yusuf. Another challenge was the B2B. As you already know, gaming is basically business to consumer business. Business model. But we always had in mind the idea or the question: what if we can deliver the gaming services to companies? It was an idea, a crazy idea in from our perspective. But when we got to meet great people from big companies like Oracle, Microsoft, and Amazon, we made an introduction to them about our idea, and they said, okay, it's not far away from being a reality. And we started articulating and writing down a value proposition that we can offer to big companies. We did that during the program, and we validated the business model and the value proposition. And actually, we went and met with different corporates. And as I mentioned earlier, we got the chance to meet with Turkcell, and we almost closed the deal. So B2B was a dream, and it came true. The last challenge is the investment. As I mentioned, we are in the business for almost 4 years, and we went through different stages. And 2 years ago, we were in the stage that we were applying for the first round of fundraising. We managed to do that 2 years ago. But by last year, we started to produce more games, and we wanted to increase the capacity of the team and to expand. That's why we started to focus on a second round of fundraising. But we were not 100% sure how we can do that. We were aiming for a bigger number. A bigger amount of investment to be deducted into the company. So the overall program helped us create and update our value proposition and business plan. Moreover, it introduced us to many mentors in the field of gaming and with previous experience in investment. So we received outstanding backup and support from the program team whenever we needed their assistance to introduce us to potential investors. And they helped us organize matchmaking meetings, and they attended with us even to give us extra support and to move things forward in a successful way. So they provided us with regular feedback and advices to improve things like managing our relationship with big companies and so on. And we managed to close our second round of fundraising towards the end of the program, actually.
Thank you very much. This is what I call growth and success personified. And as far as traction metrics goes, this is the best we can see. And I wish for further success for you and also the other companies involved in this project. So, last but not least, we will have Suat Erol, who is a project specialist of EBRD, to make his closing remarks. Suat, welcome.
Thank you, Meriç. Before actually introducing myself, let me thank you all participants for our closing event today. I have been working under EBRD SME Efendi Group since 2016, mainly focusing on refugee response activities. As a member of Tech for Refugees project team, I'm really proud to share that we achieved our target and most importantly, see the success stories of our program. Tech for Refugees' unique approach for the Syrian-led SMEs ecosystem because it gathers both high potential ICT enterprises and corporate companies, as we mentioned before, like Dimaggi, Oracle, Amazon. In this conclusion speech, I will just share a small journey of Tech for Refugees. Once we discovered the potential in the ICT enterprises, we focused on the question, how we could support them. Together with our implementation partner, we try to figure out main gaps in the ICT sector, especially in the Syrian-led ICTs, and put two main outputs. First, there's a lack of information about Turkish laws, as Marawan said that, and business ecosystem and product management. These are the main gaps. The second one is high potential entrepreneurs should be a part of the big picture and link with the corporates as a supplier or business partner to reveal their potential. Under the guidance of these research outputs, we designed and implemented Tech for Refugee project that includes both accelerator and matchmaking part. Our project showed us there are many potential enterprises still not revealed among Syrian-led companies. Today, we just shared very, very small part of the success stories, and we will try to increase our touch to micro and small medium enterprises. The critical point of our success is supporting enterprises through a holistic approach, especially in the partnership part. Tech for Refugee is a great sample of this partnership story because it includes IFIs, social enterprises, Syrian-led ICTs, and big local and international corporate companies. I would like to thank you all beneficiaries for their dedication, even in COVID-19 outbreak, and all corporates for their inclusive approach, and all mentors for their guidance and time, and our project partner, Impact Hub and Tech for Refugee team, Doğan Çelik, for collaboration. And today, I would like to thank all our participants for their interest and time. As a concluding remark, we as an EBRD will continue to invest in changing lives and hope to meet you all in the next events in which we will share another success stories. Thank you all.
So thank you very much. Very nice words. Nice rounded up. And as Paolo and Anthony said, you know, making Zoom meetings is not physically as attractive, and the vibe is not maybe warm, but the words let us feel the atmosphere. And maybe in the future we will have launch breakout rooms where people just gather around certain concepts and talk about chit chat about certain things. If you have any questions, we asked before the panel discussion, but no one asked. Please write them here or send it over to us, and we will ask our attendees for specific information. I thank you all for being here. It was a pleasure to be here and see your faces as far as I can see. And I hope to meet each other again in another event. If there are no specific questions, or maybe Anthony, Paolo, if you would like to say something to close it up, we will be happy to listen to you.
Thank you again for everything. This has been a great opportunity. It was, I think, perfect timing, as was alluded to at the very beginning of the event. It started during COVID, it's ending during COVID. I think, you know, the timing, the situation couldn't be any worse, but the timing couldn't be any better. And hopefully, I think everybody that has worked on the program has gotten something out of it. And hopefully both the entrepreneurs have been able to, you know, take advantage of the situation as much as possible, as much as we have. And I really can't thank you enough for the opportunity, and the European Bank as well. And yeah, we look forward to supporting any other entrepreneurs that come to us. Please reach out and we're more happy to support you.
Let you know. Paolo?
Yeah, no, really, I think we covered pretty much anything. Just to say that, yeah, from the EBRD side, we remain very focused and very interested in trying to come up with projects that are a little different, always a little bit experimental, and more than anything, adapting to the circumstances. And you know, who knows what there will be in 1 year? But we really enjoy doing things differently, and we're very happy to do it with the partners that we have in this program. So thank you all.
Thank you. We appreciate your support, Anthony and Paolo. Emir, would you like to round up as well? Have some closing remarks?
Yeah, I'm glad to meet with these guys. So I mean, we had quite 2 hours of explaining Startup 101 and the Turkish business ecosystem. I'm glad to meet with them and share my knowledge with them. So in the future, if they seek for an investment, you can always send me an email about it. I mean, there is Warren Buffett always says someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago. So my last quotation with you guys: start planting a tree, so we'll see in the future. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, Doğan, would you like to say something last?
I guess, yeah, I would say thank you so much again for all those contributors during the event, during the course of the implementation of Tech for Refugees. Hopefully, we will extend this project in the near future, as rightly Suat mentioned. So again, hopefully, we will talk more about our entrepreneur success stories in the near future. Thank you again.
All right. It was a pleasure, and shukran for all of you to be here. Teşekkürler. Thank you very much. And as I said before, I hope to see you all again for another occasion. Have a nice evening and a nice rest of the week. God bless, and please keep safe.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.